So where do you think God came from? I was told he was just always here, which is hard to wrap my head around. Other religions have their creation stories, but not just their creation of the planet and its inhabitants, but the gods themselves are created and born. Did the Christian Jewish God actually create himself, or what's up? Was he born from nothing? Like a miracle? Hard to say. From what John Solo researched in Hesiod's Theogony and Works and Days, Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros were born from the void, also known as chaos, a female entity or being we wouldn't be able to understand. Gaia went on to create Uranus, they had some kids, the Titans, and one of those Titans, Prometheus, created us and gave us fire. Two of those Titans, Rhea and Cronus, also bore the gods, including Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. Some of them would go on to bear other gods as children, with their own siblings, or with mortals because they like to mess around. Especially Zeus, whether because he wanted to spread his godly seed, or because he was hypersexual, and in many cases without permission, so there's that awful tidbit. Is that where the accounts of the Nephilims mating with human women came from? Or is it the other way around? Should I be surprised that God didn't do that? Well, there was the whole Mary incident, but that was just one girl, and he didn't assault her, and she doesn't seem to object to the whole thing. So says the Bible. Thing is, God, Jesus, totally could have pulled some chicks if he wanted to. Make a unicorn appear out of thin air, claiming, "Thus saith the Lord." Chicks love unicorns. I know, I've been to science class. There are scientists who believe in creation. Question is, do they have evidence to back it up? Jesus could have very well been a real man, and a charismatic one at that. There are some documents from various writers, so I've heard. Marabar Serapion questions, what good did it bring the Jews in killing their wise king? And Josephus speaks of Jesus by name as well as his deeds, and the facts that Jews and Greeks were drawn to him. Shout out to Metatron. But let's not get biased. What about the Prophet Muhammad, the founder of Islam and the Quran? The Quran itself, of course, mentions Muhammad by name and as the messenger of God. But what about historical texts? Well, according to Britannica, there is a chronicle from Syria around 640 that speaks of a conflict between the Romans and the Arabs of Muhammad. And around 660, an Armenian text says Muhammad was a merchant who preached to the Arabs. However, some of these non-Islamic accounts make it seem like Muhammad was still alive during this invasion of Palestine by other Arabs, while Muslims would say he should have already been dead at this point. Still, Muhammad also could have certainly been a real person who may have even kickstarted Islam. We just don't have the most concrete documentation. I guess you should just ask yourself, regardless of your religious belief, what do you think makes the most sense? I still say what Christians say, but instead of God, it was us. Humans, animals, the earth, the whole universe. It was always here. But somewhere down the line we decided we needed an answer, so we shared stories about creation. And later it was evolution, survival of the fittest, the Big Bang. The thing with all deities, if they really had encounters with mortals, why aren't they doing it anymore? God knows I would love to encounter a goddess, if you know what I mean. But they never show up, not even for guys who are actually attractive. Some will say it's all part of God's plan. What, to give us the silent treatment? Well, after all the sins we've committed, I guess I can't blame him. Didn't he do some messed up stuff too? Yeah, but he's God, so it's like rules for thee, not me type of deal. Like how the Greek gods are allowed to commit incest because they don't have DNA, but if humans do it, it's gross. What? So you get it. But something that I often think about is what Tolkien said to Lewis when they discussed religion. Perhaps we tell stories because God is the storyteller. Perhaps we create because we were created. Maybe not by the Christian God or even Allah, but by something. One day, I watched a video posing the question, why do you believe in one God but none of the others? I mean, yeah, if one God exists, why not more? Wouldn't it make sense that either all of them exist or none at all? How do we know for sure that it's this one? Because the holy text said so? Yeah, that's not really an answer. Who's to say that the Bible isn't just mythology for Christians? You have God and or Jesus performing all the miracles, and the gods from other cultures are just as capable of doing the same. A lot of us were indoctrinated, so we gotta let that go and be able to think for ourselves. If you still feel like believing in a creator, that's your choice. Just don't feel obligated to do so because of others. You may still crave acceptance, but people should also exercise basic decency regardless of your beliefs, right? And what about simulation? Some theorize that we live in the Matrix, but here's my theory. What if, instead of living inside a simulation, we're just surrounded by it? Maybe due to some manipulation during construction, this box creates the illusion of a TV, but I myself am free to think and move as I please. Nah, that's just stupid.